10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right. Hello, everybody, and I hope everyone can see me fine. This is Michael Voss with I'm the Dragon of the Southern Tier at the No Soundbites Allowed podcast. We're doing what, I don't know what to call it now. I think we can call it the speed round, or we can call it the speed podcasting. I'm not quite sure. Haven't quite figured out what I want to call it yet. But that being said, we're here with you right now. We're talking about a lot of the interesting things. And first and foremost, I want to say to everyone out there, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here with me. You guys make it all worthwhile. You're the reason why I do this. I thank you for joining me on this. Now, we're trying, as I said before, a little bit of a different format. We're going to try and do this as a speed round, running right through it. Shouldn't take long. We're looking at about 15 minutes for each one of these. It's a little different than the normal podcast. I do also want to mention that on every Saturday Eastern Standard Time from 12 noon until 1:30, I do a Facebook Live podcast. You can join us there, and you'll be able to be involved. It's interactive with everyone in the public, so please do be involved. I do look forward to hearing from each and every one of you and every one of your thoughts. So I'm going to start the clock in just a moment. I want to say this is going to be fun. So in this speed round, this speed podcasting, we're going to be talking about gun control, gun legislation, and in particular, gun legislation as it relates to New York State, although this also kind of applies with everyone in the nation. If we're all ready and everybody's with me, we're going to get started right now. Once more, I do it. Come on. And the clock has started. So, first things first, I want to mention something. Now, I know I said I'm going to talk about the state issues, but first I can't help but mention something. This is Senator Dianne Feinstein and one of her more spectacular moments when she's talking about gun control. And if you notice, as the image shows, her image of gun safety, just insane. So when we hear some of these individuals who are leading the charge on gun control, who are trying to affect those of us with Second Amendment rights, or exercising our constitutional Second Amendment rights, we often find that they're individuals just like Dianne Feinstein that have absolutely no idea what to do with a firearm. And that makes a big difference, especially since Dianne Feinstein is lying to the public. See, I want to mention this because this feeds into what we see on the state level, what we're seeing, as well as on a national level. And Dianne Feinstein, on her website, which I've included here for everyone. You can see the link up at the top. You can go and check it out. She's put in an assault weapons ban for 2019. It's very similar to the one in 2017, except that she mentions a bunch of mass shootings to try and motivate people to believe that this is important. And the only way she can get that emotional impact is because she's lying to people. The Las Vegas shooting was not in 2018. The Sutherland, Texas church shooting was not in 2018. So automatically, starting off, Dianne Feinstein is lying to the public. This is how we see most gun legislation is done. It is based on emotions. You're supposed to be motivated by emotion. You're supposed to not think about anything. You're supposed to not even notice that they have all these other things happening. And it distracts you from the rights and the freedoms that you are losing. And that is devastating. So that's why Dianne Feinstein, I wanted to show her, because this is endemic of what we see throughout the entire country, and in particular in New York State. So that same mindset that Senator Dianne Feinstein is pushing out there is matched by Governor Cuomo. And Governor Cuomo and the Democrats, the progressives in New York State, have been pushing a series of bills. And many people may not be aware of what these are and how devastating they are to both economically as well as personally, all of our individual rights. And that's a big deal. So one of the first ones is, this is a bill that just came out this month in January, and we see it's the bill S1038. Relates to the restriction and sale of ammunition to individuals authorized to possess such weapons. Now, and it creates a no-gun database. Now, this bill is really, really scary, because what we're seeing there is they're saying that only certain individuals can have certain types of ammunition if you own only certain types of guns. In other words, this is another way to stop you from being able to both own a firearm, to be able to practice with firearms, to become gun safe with these firearms, and to restrict people from being able to have access to different firearms that they may want to have. Whether you're a collector, a hunter, you want to protect yourself, or just because you don't trust the government. Any of these reasons. They're all part of your constitutional right. It's not limited to just hunting or recreation. You can have a firearm just because you want one. You can have a firearm because you want to protect your home. You can have a firearm because you don't trust the government. But they are looking for ways to limit and reduce the options that individuals have on a constitutional right. And these constitutional rights are God-given according to the Constitution. These are rights that no government creates. They are innately and inherently yours. And so that's what's very important about that. But again, this is a speed round, so let me keep going. So that's one of the bills in New York State that they're looking to inflict onto the public. And that's in conjunction also with another bill. Now, this is called S9197. May not be familiar to people. What that is called, the last bill was the ammo bill. Well, this one is your password. And you may have heard about this back in December. I was talking a lot about it. I did a couple of podcasts on it and articles on it. And this is the social media password bill, where you are required to give the government all of your social media information. That's right. You have to give them all of your passwords to your Twitter, to your Facebook, to Snapchat, to Instagram, to any social media, YouTube, any social media that you're using out there, so that they can go, so the government, some agent of the government can go through all of your information, every private chat you've had, every private email you've had, any private communication you've had, and search through everyone you've ever spoken to for the last 3 years and determine if they like that. And if they do like it, well, then you get to have a firearm permit, whether it's for a rifle, a shotgun, or a handgun. And if they don't like it, well, then you have a problem. Because if they don't like it, they're going to restrict you. And it gets even worse, because not only are they able to do that, they're also able to, because they're going into your history and your conversations, they're able to find out who you're talking to, what you've said to them, and they can then prosecute those other people, because you've given them access to your information and everything is relevant there. So they can actually charge other people. The final bill I want to get into really quick, and again, this is the speed rounds, so I'm not going into as much depth as I would normally go into. Well, before I do that, let me mention there is some pushback against all this. There's, in particular, State Senator Fred Akshar, who I know and I've spoken to many times, he's gone out there and he's asked people what they feel about these things, in particular the password bill, whether or not we should give the government our social media posts, our search engine searches for the last couple of years. And overwhelmingly, both within and outside of the district, his district is Senate District 52, which covers the southern tier of New York, overwhelmingly, we see that people do not want the government in this aspect of their lives. And that's a very telling thing, even though we're watching New York State government shove this down our throats. We're seeing the same thing coming from Dianne Feinstein, Senator Feinstein, with her bills and the assault weapons ban of 2019. They're shoving it down our throats, whether we want it or not, but we can fight back because we are the government. Let me say that again. We are the government. They don't get to do this to us. We only if we let them do this, can they? The final bill that's really big and really important that we should all be aware of is the red flag legislation. Now, this is one of my sites. It's the Voss Political Commentary. I have a huge section, a lot of information I've done on the red flag legislation, which currently is in 7 states, being considered in another 11 states, and it is devastating. This allows the government to take, now, if you own a firearm, not only can they take your firearm, but they can take your children. Let me say that again, and let me be very clear on that. The red flag legislation mandates that the government will take your children. Anyone, you could have a part-time badminton coach over at your kid's school. They see your kid is tired. They will go to the court and say to the court, you know what? I think that the kid's suffering from child abuse. It's probably because their parents own a firearm. Take that firearm. The court will say, how do you know that? Can you prove it? Yes. Look at their social media history, which the government had when they went through to get their permit. And they will then be able to say, yeah, look, see, they're a horrible person. Their social media says so. And then the government will send out the police to come to your home at 5 a.m, just like it happened in Maryland. They will come to your home at 5 a.m, break down your door, and take every firearm that is in that house. And if you have children in that house, they will take your children as well. Mind you, in every single one of these bills, let me go over them once more. That's Dianne Feinstein's lie to the public, her attempt to manipulate people's emotions. Let's take a look at the ammo ban. We're talking about the social media bill, the social media password bill, and we're talking about the red flag legislation. In every single one of these bills, there's something that's very important that you may have noticed that has not been said. Not once in any of this information has anyone committed a crime. Without ever committing a crime, everyone suffers. You have no crime, but yet you are still being convicted. You are being punished. And I'm just typing in a note here that, no crime, yet punishment is applied. That's got to be terrifying to people. I know it's terrifying to me. How dare they? How dare the government go out there and do this to people? How dare they go out and punish people for exercising their Second Amendment right, for being out there and saying, hey, I want to own a firearm. That's all you have to do is, I want to own a firearm. And they will come out and they will say, well, no. One, you can't have that firearm because Senator Dianne Feinstein doesn't like the firearm that you happen to have. And so she's going to scare you and say, you're an evil person. You own a firearm. You're going to be a mass shooter. How dare you? You know what? You're going to have the wrong ammo. How dare you? You're wrong. Governor Cuomo is going to come up to you, and State Senator Kevin Parker are going to say to you, you know what? I looked at your social media. I looked at what you were saying on Twitter. I saw that you didn't like me as a politician. We saw that. And we're going to come in. Now we're going to take everything you own. We're going to take away your rights. We're going to take away your kids. And we're going to punish you just because you had a Second Amendment right. And that's going to affect your job. It's going to affect where your kids go to school, and if you can even go to that school to be able to see your kids. It's going to affect the people in your neighborhood. You're going to be labeled for no reason other than the fact that you are an American citizen who has a right to own a firearm. Is that terrifying? Because I have to tell you, I think it's terrifying to me. To see that in any state and in the country where we are guaranteed, where we are built on the idea that there are certain inalienable rights and that our government does not have the power to take these rights away from us. That's what the Constitution is. The Constitution does not list any of the rights for the government. It's everything the government can't do. We can do everything. The government can do only what we let it do. And right now, the government's out there saying, we know better than you. You're too dangerous to own a firearm. You're too dangerous to own something we don't like. Those are scary guns. Those are terrifying guns. And it really doesn't matter which firearm it is. Dianne Feinstein wants to take away 205 different types of firearm, of rifles, because she thinks that they are military weapons. She thinks that any rifle that you may have out there is the equivalent of an M60 machine gun. Dianne Feinstein thinks that everybody's out there to be running around as if it were Chicago, and that she's some kind of, like this is the 1930s, and the St. Valentine's Day massacre is going to happen every day. That's not the case. Now, well, that's my little warning clock there. And as I said, these are the speed podcast rounds. It's very short. There's not a whole lot there, but I hope everyone's enjoying it and getting to get a flavor of it. But this is meant to just give you an idea of what's going on. In New York State, the government is about to punish you because you have a right, and they don't like it, and they don't want you to have it. At this moment, the United States government under the state Senate with the Democratic Party are looking to take away your rights because they don't like it, and they don't want you to have it. It's just because they feel you're evil. I don't agree with that. I think that's wrong. I don't think you get to take away someone's constitutional rights, that you get to disrupt their life, to disrupt their children and take away their children just because you don't like what someone owns. Imagine this, and I'll leave you with this thought, because this is the speed round, and as I said, I want to make this short, but I'll leave you with this thought. If someone said that they're going to come into your home and they're going to check to see if you have a pair of blue jeans, or if you have a car that happens to be the color black, and if you do have either of those things, they're going to take away all those jeans. They're going to take away your car, and they're going to disrupt your entire life. They're going to make you seem like you're a criminal because you own a pair of blue jeans and or a black car. Would you let them do that? Of course not. Guess what? This is the same thing. It's the same effect. No crime has been done. No one is guilty. They just don't like it. They don't want you to have it. And so they're trying to take it away. But it's up to you. If you don't want that to happen, it's real easy. Contact your state senator, contact your politicians, and let them know you don't agree. For myself, I'll say to Senator Schumer, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and I will say to Anthony Brindisi, the representative for New York 22nd District, I do not agree. To State Senator Akshar, I support you in fighting against this. And to Governor Cuomo, I do not agree. Do not pass these laws. This is what we need to do. Make the word happen. Protect yourself. With that said, I want to again thank everyone for taking this brief moment of time with me on a Friday night at 9:15. I do appreciate it. I know there's so much you could be doing, and I thank you for just taking a few minutes with me. I want everyone to be well. And remember, tomorrow, Saturday, 12 noon to 1:30, please check me out on Facebook. And join me on the Facebook Live. Give me your comments and thoughts, and we'll talk about everything that's going on. Until then, I hope everyone will be well.